So when it comes to putting your hair toppers on, it's obviously really important that the clips are really secure in your own bio hair so that it doesn't slip and slide and move throughout the day. Now, I have owned this upgraded Courtney hair topper from Uniwigs for about the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I have worn her a lot. This is the shade Dusty Ash Brown, and I have her in the 14-inch length. So when it arrived, it had 4 pressure sensitive clips already sewn in to the base, 2 at the very front and 2 at the back. Now, for the first couple of weeks, I wasn't having any issue whatsoever, but then we got to Christmas, and at Christmas time and New Year, you do a lot of hugging with friends and family, and I found that people were putting their arms around me, kind of then when they hug you tightly, it would pull at the hair slightly. And these 2 at the back weren't an issue, they weren't moving, but I could feel movement at the front. And I know why this is, and this is because my hair loss is mainly at the front section of my head, and I've got a receding hairline, but also what I do have at the front is really wispy. I'm very, very thin. So these 2 clips here don't have a lot of hair to get hold of at all, actually. So this isn't providing me with probably as much security as I need when wearing this out and about, seeing friends and family, especially when I'm hugging them. So what I'm going to do is try and increase the security of this topper and show you how I'm going to do that. Now, I am going to add 2 additional clips just slightly further back from those 2 at the front. I'm not going to take these out. They do manage to grasp some hair, so they're not completely useless. And also if I took those out, then this front section would probably flap around a lot. So I'm just going to add in 2 additional clips next to them where my fingers are at the moment. And hopefully this is going to provide me with additional security when I'm wearing this topper. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some cotton thread, and I've chosen a light brown shade that is going to blend really seamlessly with the topper. And I've now threaded my cotton onto my needle, and I've popped a knot in at the end as well. Okay, so before we start, it's really important we get the clips on the right way around. So you could potentially sew them in either way, but it's important to have it the right way around so that it clips into your hair properly. Now you can see on this side, the teeth of the clip are more obvious, and they are on this side of the clip, whereas they are not on that side of the clip. So that is the side of the clip that we want to see, that we want facing upwards from the base. Okay, so teeth facing upwards, placed her where I want her clip, take my needle, and I'm gonna start from underneath, come up, being really careful not to pull any of the hair through as well. Now, I'm not a seamstress, I have no qualifications when it comes to sewing. I'm just using a really basic stitch for this, and it may not look as pretty as what the Uniwigs installed clips are, but it's going to do the job, and you're not going to see the stitching anyway when you're wearing the topper. So as long as you can get the stitching done, you won't see what it looks like when you're wearing it. I think that feels quite secure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight down, and I'm going to use the same thread. I'm going to go and do the bottom one as well. This one I'm doing slightly differently. I'm not putting the needle all the way through the cap and bringing it up the other side, because I don't want to catch any hair, which is more likely to happen, not on the edge. So I'm just picking up a little bit of the material that covers the wefts, and then going under that clip, and then bringing the needle up through the hole like this. Feels really secure now on that side, so I'm just going to finish it up. And just grab my scissors and then cut the thread, and that side is done. So I'm just going to go away and do the other side. So I've pulled my needle up through from the back or the top of the base through to the bottom, and then I'm just gonna take a little bit of the material next to it into my needle, and then up through the bottom of the hole and back through the top. So a little bit of that material from the, which is covering the wefts, and then under that, through that top hole of the clip, and then pulling through. Now that feels nice and secure on that side. So I'm going to do that bottom hole, and I'm going to do the same thing again, making sure I don't catch any of the hair from the topper in the process. Also not pulling too tight because I don't want to distort any of the wefting. Just tight enough that it's secure. So all my stitching is done now, and you can now see that on this upgraded Courtney topper base I now have 6 pressure sensitive clips instead of the standard 4, and this will provide me with additional security when I wear this topper. This was my first attempt, and you can see it's quite messy, but it doesn't matter because no one is going to see the stitching when you're wearing it flat. It'll be flat on your head. And then by the second attempt I've gotten a little bit more confident, and you can see that it's far neater. So the stitching has gone into the edges at the top holes, and then into the material of the wefting in the bottom holes there, and the teeth are on the outside. They must always be on the outside, otherwise you won't get that gap to scoop your own bio hair into. So make sure those teeth are on the outs, are sort of looking at you on this side when you add a clip in yourself. So I've added my 2 at the front, but if you had areas of thin hair at the back here, you could add in clips in this section or right at the base. So last thing to do is to get her on and see what difference it makes and how it makes me feel and how secure it is. So I always use the front 2 clips. I grab onto those and use that as a gauge for how centralised the top is. So I can feel that's the 2 clips are even. So I'm going to open them up, and I'm going to sort of almost turn it on itself, the clip, and use that as like a scooping tool to push into the bio hair that I have at the front and then secure. Okay, so I've popped those 2 in the front, and then I'm going to get my new clips. I'm going to do the same again. Scooping in the bio hair into the clips and then securing them, and then I'm going to do the final one, opening them up, and then scooping my bio hair in. That's good. It's okay to take your time, make sure that they are fully secure, that there's enough bio hair. And if there's not enough bio hair in those clips, then it's not going to provide security. It's going to slip really easily. I think I might do a bit more in this one as well. There we go. She's on, and I can feel already that it's more secure. A really good test of this is actually when you pull a brush through it, because if there's anything loose, any of the clips are loose, then just pulling a brush through your hair you're going to see movement. So if someone wants to give me a hug, yeah, I can feel it's not going to go now. It's not going to slant. It's lovely. So yeah. So if you have a topper that arrives and you have some clips in and you just don't feel that they are working and securing well enough to your bio hair, there are some changes you can make. So first of all, you can do as I've done, and you can add some extra clips in. The 2 clips at the front that were already here, there wasn't a lot of my own bio hair to be able to grasp onto, so for me I needed some additional security, so I've added in some additional clips. If you don't have additional clips but you find that some of the ones that are there already are just useless, maybe you've got a bold spot or something underneath one of them, you can undo the stitching on that clip and reposition it into an area around the circumference of that base where it's going to work better for you and where you can get a more secure clip or grasp onto some of your wire hair so that it stays put. Now, this is definitely a far more secure fit on my head.